When it comes to parenting, ups and downs are bound to occur. However, identifying the cause of the problems, understanding your child's needs, and communication are some of the ways you can overcome parenting challenges. In this video, we have Saakshi Singla, a child development and parenting expert, who will shed light on some of the often overlooked parenting issues and help us identify it.
Let me first start by asking about your journey as a parenting expert. How did you come about pursuing this professional field?
Sure. It is a long story, but when I was studying child development in college, I got that aha moment of knowing very early in my career that this is what I think makes me tick. So I just carried on, did a lot of things. And in between, with a lot of research work, I realized that what makes me the happiest is to be with children.
So, of course, there has to be some challenging aspect to what you do. So, could you, tell us something about that?
Sure. 20 years in this line. The most challenging part is, as a child development expert, is that when I see difficult environments and see difficult parental behavior, I can almost see 10 years, 20 years in advance and kind of always tell that what the parents are doing with these children are going to bring trauma to them or will bring generational patterns. So it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult because when I see fighting couples, chaotic homes, I know that the children are going to grow up accepting aggression as means of conflict resolution. That is very, very difficult.
Right. So, how do you assess a child's need, and how do you decide, what best approach works for them?
The interesting thing is that even the same household could have two different children. And we've always seen siblings being chalk and cheese, very, very different from each other. Now, child development teaches us to look a little deeper and see what kind of children do we have. Do we have sensitive children? In the child development language, we call it orchid children. Children who show great sensitivity and susceptibility to bad and good environments in which they are sometimes. These children need more compassion. They need to be in places where there is more love, there is more patience shown. And then there are some other children that we call as Dandelion children, who are fairly resilient, who are able to cope with stress and adversity in their lives. Understanding who our child is our child a sensitive child, a strong-willed child, is one of the most important parenting responsibilities, I feel, because then you can parent accordingly. For example, a strong-willed child, we cannot control them. We need to give the control to them. Sensitive children, we will need to be more structured. We need to be more patient, a little bit more paced. So we first need to understand who is our child.
So, what do you tell parents, when it comes to difficult children?
Okay.
Because actually, traditionally, parents usually use punishment as a means to discipline. So, what do you have to say about that?
Punishment in our parenting language is what we call discipline, actually, which is not true. So whenever we are punishing a child, we are punishing a child and making him or her feel the consequences of doing bad or not so well. Whereas discipline is teaching the children what can be done better. Why there are difficult children, a counselor in me always looks behind and sees where is it coming from, how much aggression, how much control is there in the house, what are the relationships that they are seeing at that particular time, how much of a control or fear parenting that is used. Once we are able to go back and see what is the reason behind that difficult behavior, we then bring in more love in our parenting. That's what I teach all the time. Because
Right.
punishment would mean that you are only making them do better because of
Mhm.
fear.
So Sakshi, also, so recently there has been a lot of discussion around childhood trauma. So can you reflect on childhood trauma and tell us a bit about how we can identify it and how we can overcome it or deal with it or something.
Childhood trauma travels from generations to generations, and that is
Mm-hmm.
why it is important that the healing of parents
Mm-hmm.
should come first. And how do we understand childhood trauma, especially if we are talking about parenting, is that the things that trigger us is where
Mm-hmm.
the trauma lies. So if a parent is on the healing journey himself or herself, he or she would be able to tell that this is the trauma maybe I've lived with, and I am
Mm-hmm.
not going to do this with my children.
So, Sakshi, when I first approached you, it was your gender equal parenting advocacy that really interested me, and through you, I wanted to like reach out to other parents who were, you know, who were dealing with, uh, you know, trying to find a middle approach to, reaching out to their children. Could you talk about how important is gender neutral parenting? How can parents be mindful about, not to differentiate between their children, boys or girls? Yeah. Can you reflect on that?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as a counselor, all the problems that I see, uh, may it be a parenting problem, may it be a
Mm-hmm.
couple relationship, or any other relationship repair problem, I think 95% of them go back to some kind of gender inequality that they've seen in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say this? Um, Patriarchy, either not having girls having a say in their homes, or
Mm-hmm.
making them out to be princesses in our homes, is the problem. So, and where is it
Right.
coming from? Because we've treated boys and girls very differently. So our parents
Mm-hmm.
treated them differently, and it's again a generational pattern that has been carrying out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at a lot of places, if we are, if we get mindful as a parent now, and we tell ourselves that the problems that I've faced because I'm either a woman or a man is coming
Mm-hmm.
from the kind of gender unequal parenting that was given to me, or that is the
Mm-hmm.
conditioning that I'm coming from, I will again parent in a more gender neutral way. And what is gender neutral parenting? It is just making sure that the opportunities that you give to your children, to your girls and boys, are similar. The space of emotional expression is same. So a lot of times in gender equality, we talk about uh, girls not being in a good space. I talk a lot about our boys as well, because our boys
Mm-hmm.
are actually taught at age 3 to man up, to not cry,
Right.
to not
Mm-hmm.
express themselves. They can't be weak. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a little unfair. So if we are today bringing up our girls differently, and we are making them into stronger people who today have the opportunity to do what they want to, then why are we expecting only our boys to provide always? Why are we
Right.
saying that our girls are now princesses, and when they go to their homes or when they get married to their husbands will take care of them? So, from the care of the parents, we are now actually passing the care to the other family they go to.
Yeah, and how does it affect a child's mental health, and what are the signs to watch out for?
Um, that's a conversation I think we need to make a lot more, because
Mm-hmm.
uh, adults can have bad days. I'm
Right.
not feeling like going to the office, or I'm just having a low day. I don't feel like talking, or today I don't want to eat what is made at home. But
Mm-hmm.
children, we never give them the option of them being in a bad day situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Something that I speak about a lot in my parenting is soul fever. we all have soul fever sometime. We're just feeling low. But do we allow our children to have soul fever? Not really. We push them, we will make them eat what we want them to. So a lot of this control is what we need to reduce in our parenting. And when we understand this a little bit more, we will also give them the leeway. Because children are not people who are ready to be adults only. They are people on. And parents a lot of times forget this, because parents feel that if our children don't eat their vegetables, or if they don't behave how we want them to be, they will probably become criminals tomorrow. And we are coming from a place of love. But the more we come from a place of control, we also make our children to be followers, and leaders need to be thinkers.
So finally, Sakshi, I wanted to ask, like, being a parent yourself, has this profession that you've taken up, has it affected or impacted, influenced your understanding towards your own family, your own children, or do you keep it all separate? Or
this cannot be kept separate. Being somebody who's worked in the field for too long, it has brought both its pros and cons. The pros are humongous, but the cons were very difficult as well, because when you know that any of your action and what you are doing with your children can bring trauma, you are a little unrested as a parent, which I've been sometime. My children are 22 and 23, and I've made some very grave mistakes, but I have repaired. So what child development knowledge and working in the mental health field has taught me is that ruptures are going to happen, and in our relationships they happen often. But how much and how quickly can we repair is one thing that we need to learn as parents. Because when the children become teenagers, and if there are parents here who are parents of teenagers, they know exactly what I'm talking about. You are going to cry buckets full sometime in your life. How do you come back from that? And how much have you been able to keep your children's spirit intact in this journey of parenting? Is what is the game all about. And at 22 and 23, I think more than me being proud of my children have now become people who are proud of themselves, and who are very fiercely independent thinking beings who don't need me anymore. And I think that is what is the big requirement of any good parenting journey, that we make our children independent of us. We are mindful that we are not passing our own generational patterns to them. And if we are carrying any difficult generational pattern, we stand up and tell ourselves that this pattern is going to run out of my family now through me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Saakshi. It was great chatting with you.